John, at the root of a lot of this is that we inherently do not trust our government or our intel services. What can President Trump do to rebuild the trust and the fidelity that we have to the intel community?
Charlie, that's an outstanding question, because we have reached the level now where you have an entire generation of young people. My kids are grown, but they're in their 30s. And they said something to me a while ago. It said, you know, Dad, we have never seen or experienced the America that you grew up in. We have only seen turmoil, chaos, lying, corruption, and all kinds of mess come out of Washington. And what President Trump has managed to do by getting elected, he has just swept in a fresh air blast into what is a very dark and horrible place in Washington, D.C. He is looked at, especially by the younger generation, as somebody that may be able to pull this thing around and fix it. He can fix it. A lot of the conditions for success were set by his victory. But the way he's trying to populate his cabinet is one of the best things you can do. Bringing in people like Pete Hegseth to run the Pentagon, Amaryllis Kennedy to be a high official in the agency. That's a generational shift. And when you're inside the system and you're working for both of them, for Hegseth and for Amaryllis, when you are between 10 and 15 years when you leave, you are a journeyman level person for both of them. They know what goes on. They know how to do their jobs, and they know the system that they operate in. They know what's wrong with it, and they know how to fix it. You don't fix stuff from entrenched bureaucrats who have been around and are steeped and are owned by the corruption system. You fixed major bureaucracies with young people who are not corrupted, and they know how to do the job, and they know how to fix the system. And you don't have to be around for 40 years to figure that out. When you have 10 to 15, from your fifth year, you're an apprentice sort of when you get hired, trained, deployed, and functional. By 5 years, you've got your first tour under your belt, and you've demonstrated that you can do the job. Then you do it for 10 more years, and you do it well, and you refine the craft. That's the same thing you have in the Pentagon that you have in the CIA. And that's the kind of thing that President Trump is bringing into his administration, is young journeyman level people that know how to do what the work mission is, the core mission. And this whole thing about age and then the machinery can be unleashed against people like that to come up with all kinds of stories and lies, and they throw all this dirt at them in hopes that they can get them pushed out of the way. That's where we are with some of these young people that have been appointed to key positions. And that is something that they just need to shoulder through that, ignore it, and do it. Because people will come out of the woodwork to come back to the agency. They'll come back in the Pentagon, and they'll want to come back to work if they believe that a president has put someone in charge and is completely behind change. Not change for the sake of change or changing the wiring diagram, changing what we do overseas and domestically and restoring the public trust. We hide so much stuff from the public that should not be classified. When I sent a cable from the field to buy pencils, it was a classified mission cable. That's absurd. All of it's absurd. Classifications are to protect sources and methods. That's why we have them. It's not to protect mistakes, corruption, waste, and foolishness that occurs inside the system. And you need someone to come in and really rattle the core bureaucratic lethargy that is set in across the government. And the government is too big. His effort to cut stuff down has been reinforced by the research that was done during the COVID shut. That is the key. Sweep it out and bring new people in.
John, thank you so much.